Okay, algebra. We are here in chapter 8.3, and we're going to be multiplying polynomials. So I think in the last section we did multiplying a monomial by a polynomial. Now we're multiplying with multiple polynomials, so binomials, trinomials, and the like. And we're going to use the distributive property. We're also going to introduce FOIL to you. FOIL is just a little shortcut or a little acronym to help you remember how to distribute when we're multiplying binomials. So first with binomials, what we're looking to do is we're going to use the distributive property and combine like terms. Distributive property should be no surprise to us. We know what we're doing, taking anything outside of parentheses and multiplying it by what's inside the parentheses. Well, problems you're going to see are down here like this example with two sets of parentheses. These are what most of the problems are going to look like. So if you were to do the distributive property here, you basically have to take everything in that first set of parentheses and multiply it by everything in the second set of parentheses. So we're going through that. Let's take this x and multiply that by x in the other parenthesis, and it would be x squared. Then you take the x and multiply it by the negative 2, and you'd have a negative 2x. Okay? Then you have to do the same thing with the 3, and you have to multiply 3 times x in that other group to give you a positive 3x. And then we're going to go 3 times a negative 2 to give us a negative 6. So that's the distributive property. Now we just have to combine like terms. Is there anything that needs to be combined here? Well, you've got a negative 2x and a positive 3x, so we can combine those to make a positive x. Nothing to combine the x squared with, so that can come right down. Same with the negative 6. And so our answer would be x squared plus 6, or plus x minus 6. So that's just doing the distributive property and combining like terms. Okay? What FOIL tells us is FOIL is just a little acronym to help us remember how to distribute. And we're going to use terms like distributive property. We're going to use the term FOIL. I might say distributive property. I might say FOIL. I might even say draw your imaginary lines, and that's just drawing these lines here. So let's talk more about FOIL then. So FOIL is just kind of a little acronym, FOIL, to help you remember how to distribute. And some people think it's a shortcut. You're kind of doing the same thing, but the F basically means the first term in both, I'll just say both terms, first terms in both groups. The O is going to stand for the outside terms. The I is going to stand for the inside terms. And the L is going to stand for the last terms in each group. Okay? So I'm just going to erase this, and we're going to kind of rewrite the same thing. I'm just going to erase it to kind of show you how I'm doing it in FOIL. So if you want to find another spot on your notes to do that, then go for it. So if you're using FOIL, we're going to go FOIL. So F, the first term. So you're going to take the first term of this first group and multiply it by the first term in the second group. Well, that gives you x squared. Okay? Now you're going to go the outside term. So that's the outside, the far left term against the far right term, multiplying those, and you're going to end up getting negative 2x there. Your inside terms are now the two terms that are right next to each other in the parentheses, 3 times x, which gives us a positive 3x. And then the last terms, the last term in the first group, which is 3, multiplied by the last term in the second group, which is negative 2, gives us a negative 6. So you end up getting the same answer because when we combine like terms, same thing, we're going to get a positive x here, and then we can bring the x squared and negative 6 down to have our answer x squared plus x minus 6 again. But FOIL just kind of gives us an idea of how to do it, and make sure that you have multiplied every number, first, outer, inner, last. Okay? Some things to just remember about FOIL and distributive property in general is that each term needs a multiplication sign in front of it. Okay? So this whole term here, we can see we've got each term or multiplication that you do needs a sign in front of it. So you can see that we've got our plus sign here, a negative sign here, If there's nothing listed, then we can assume that it's a positive. You don't have to put the positive in front of the front one, but if there's nothing there, then we say that it's positive. Okay? The next thing is that we combine like terms always. Remember to combine like terms, and then we're going to write it in standard form. Okay, and remember our standard form is our descending order, where the degree up here, we've got x squared, x to the first, and then no variable or exponent there. So combine like terms is going to be the important thing, and then make sure that we just draw it in descending order. All right, and then a quadratic expression is a polynomial with a degree is 2. Degree is 2. So that's where we're going to talk about quadratics in most of this chapter, where your degree, the highest number, the highest exponent you deal with is 2. Like right here. Okay? So those are some things to talk about. Let's practice our foiling and our distributive property. So we can write FOIL up at the top just to kind of help us remember if we need to. And let's do letter A here. So first terms, it's going to be z times z, which we know is z squared. Then we're going to go the outside terms. So z times the negative 12 is negative 12z. Now I've got to do the inside terms, which would be a negative 6 times z, which is negative 6z. And then the last terms in each parenthesis, negative 6 times negative 12, which is going to be a positive 72. Check your math. Negative times a negative makes a positive. Now, do I have anything to combine? Yes, I do. I've got this negative 12z here and a negative 6z here, so I can combine those to make a negative 18z. And then z squared has nothing to combine with, so that can come down, and same with the 72, and we are done. Z squared minus 18z plus 72. Okay? So very similar problems the rest of the way. We got a lot of practice. You can do all these if you want to. We're going to skip ahead here to letter C, because this is a little different type of problem for us. We got m minus 4, m plus 4. So something cool is going to happen in the middle. So our FOIL again, or if you want to draw your lines, whatever you want to say, distributive, we kind of use those terms interchangeably. But m times m, our first term, is going to give us an m squared. And then we go with our outside terms, m times 4 gives us a plus 4m. Then we're going to go with our inside terms. Negative 4 times m gives us a negative 4m. And then our last terms in each negative 4 times positive 4 gives us a negative 16. So you got to be careful with your positives and negatives because, you know, that's going to make a big difference. Positive times positive is positive. Positive times negative is negative, and negative times negative is positive. So we got to make sure we get our positives and negatives right. All right? Now, do we have anything to combine here? Well, we sure do. We've got a 4m here and a negative 4m. They are the same, have the same variable to the same degree, so we can combine those. But what's going to happen there? 4m and negative 4m. They are going to cancel right out because positive 4 plus a negative 4 gives us nothing. So now we just are left with m squared minus 16, and that is our final answer. Okay, let's skip D for now, and let's go on and work on this problem here. Area of a triangle is 1/2 the height times the base. So we know that area equals 1/2 the height times the base, or sometimes people write base times height. Most people write it like that. So write an expression for the area of this triangle. So we have our 1/2, and then we've got the base, which is 6x plus 4. I'm using parentheses, so they look familiar, times the height of x minus 7. Okay, so we've got basically a FOIL problem, but we also have this 1/2 that we have to deal with. Okay, so my advice to you is to ignore this area right now, over here. Just ignore this for right now. Okay, and just distribute this 1/2 through this 6x plus 4. Once you do that, then we can go back and deal with this x minus 7. So we just have to multiply the 1/2 by one set of parentheses. So when we do that, 1/2 by 6x, we're doing the distributive property, and we get 3x, and then 1/2 times 4 gives us a positive 2. So I put those in parentheses, and now I can actually erase this ignore part, because now we're actually going to use this x minus 7, and we're going to FOIL. So just kind of a little extra. We have to distribute that 1/2. Now we have to distribute again using the distributive property, or FOIL. So first terms, 3x times x, 3x squared. Remember, when you multiply variables, you add, with the same base number, you add the exponents. So x times x would be x squared. The outside terms would be 3x times a negative 7, which is negative 21x. Inside terms, 2 times x is 2x. And then the last term is 2 times a negative 7 is negative 14. So now we're combining like terms again. We have a negative 21x and a positive 2x, which is going to give us a negative 19x. And then nothing to combine the 3x squared with, so that just comes down. Nothing to combine the negative 14 with, so that comes down. And our final answer here is 3x squared minus 19x minus 14. So a little bit different there with that 1/2. Let's do one more where it's a little bit different, because now we can't use FOIL because it's not a binomial times a binomial. Here we've got a binomial multiplied against a trinomial. So now we just have to use the old-fashioned distributive property and multiply everything in that first group, parenthesis, times everything in the second group of the parentheses. So let's go for it. We've got the 3a. We're going to multiply that by a squared, which is going to give us, be careful with this one, it's going to be 3a cubed, because we've got 3 times 1, which gives us 3, and we've got an a to the first and a squared, so we would add the exponents to get a cubed, so 3a cubed. The next term, we've got 3a times negative 12a. So 3 times negative 12 is negative 36. And what's going to happen with those a's? You've got an a to the first and an a to the first, which makes a squared. And finally, the 3a times the last term in the second grouping gives us 3a times 1. We know anything times 1 is the anything, so it's 3a. Okay? Now we're going to have to do the 4 times everything, and then we'll combine. So let's make sure we do that correctly first. So 4 times a is going to be a 4a squared. Right? And then we've got 4 times a negative 12a is going to give us a negative 48a, because 4 times negative 12 is negative 48. And we bring the a with us. And finally, the last one, 4 times 1 is a positive 4. They're both positives, so we get a positive answer. So now we have some combining to do. And let's just take a look at what we've got. Right? The first thing is, sometimes it's easier with these massive ones to just kind of look step by step and say, do we have anything to combine it with? So first is 3a to the third. Do we have anything to combine? Is there anything else with an a to the third? No, there isn't. So we can just kind of bring that right down into the next part. And I'm going to cross it out just to say, hey, I've already dealt with it. I've dealt with it. I've moved it down. Okay. How about a squares? How about a squares? Yeah, we got a negative 36a squared here. And we've got a positive 4a squared here. So now you're looking, when you combine, same variable, same degree. Same variable, same exponent. So now negative 36 and a positive 4 would combine to make a negative 32a squared. And then we can go ahead and cross those out as well. So, yep, I already dealt with that. Dealt with that. What's next? Okay. Well, what's next is our 3a's. We've got a 3a here, and we've got a negative 48a here. So we can combine those to give us a negative 45a. And the only thing left is this 4 over here, which again, we can cross that out if we want to because we already dealt with it. You don't have to cross out. Sometimes I do just to know that I've dealt with that number. And then we can bring the 4 straight down because there's nothing else to combine it with. And there you have it, 3a cubed negative 32a squared minus 45a plus 4. Again, looking at our rules, have we combined like terms? Yep. Do we have everything have a sign, positive, negative? Yep. For negative 3a, we got a positive here, got a negative here, negative, positive. So we're in good shape. And is it in standard form? Is it in descending order? Yep. We've got 3, 2, 1, and no variable there. So we're in good shape there. Okay, we can skip these, and that takes us to the lesson summary. So, explain in your own words how to multiply 2 binomials. Use the practice problem as an example if you like. So we want to explain, sometimes it's hard to explain how to do FOIL without actual numbers and letters. So you can use this problem over here in your lesson summary to explain how to do it. And then here is the practice problem, solve that using FOIL or distributive, drawing your lines, whatever you need to do. Okay, so that is that section. 8.3, multiplying polynomials, and bring any questions you got, and we will go over it on the next class day. All right, see you later.